today is Thursday, December 9th, and I am joined by two guests today, Cam Koffel and Ethan Cole. So with this being the last episode until the new year, we're going to be going into the holiday spirit and looking at teams that could benefit from a holiday gift from victories by other teams. So there are presently 11 teams that are in the playoff race, 10 of which can see some substantial benefit from another team's victory. So teams that are completely unrelated in games that are, that they are not in, if they win, it increases their chances and, gives them a feasible route to the postseason. So we're going to be looking at those games and talking about, is this realistic and can these teams make it to the playoffs? So we'll start with the AFC, where the Steelers, Colts, Raiders, Browns, Broncos, and Dolphins are all within striking distance of an AFC wildcard berth. So all of them can get there, but there are certain teams that are in a better position than others. So right off the bat, which of these teams do you think has the best chance to make it to break into the playoffs?
Well, I'm hoping that my Miami Dolphins can get in. We kind of got a long shot, but I feel like if some games, like you said, go our way, then that's a definite possibility. After starting 1-7, turning around now 6-7, we're sitting in a weird spot. There's definitely, like the Steelers with that tie. I feel like that's going to help them down the road if they continue to win games, and that's going to hurt some other teams that they have another loss, and that Steelers tie helps them out in that situation.
Absolutely, Cam.
I like as you said, I like the Steelers. I don't like the Dolphins whatsoever. No offense. I don't see it happening. It's an unrealistic scenario. Now with the Steelers, I think they've got Deontay Johnson has just been a maniac this season. He has been producing nonstop, which is why my fantasy team has also been doing well.
Yeah. So first up are the Steelers. They are currently 6-5-1. They're in the 8th spot in the AFC. The Atlanta Falcons and the New York Jets could bring some holiday cheer to the Steel City if they beat the Buffalo Bills in Week 17 or 18, respectively. So this would boost the Steelers' playoff odds from 20% up to 24% per the New York Times Playoff Simulator. The odds are long on this one, given the Falcons haven't played the Bills since 2017, a game in which they lost. The Jets are winless against the Buffalo Bills over their last 5 meetings. Thoughts on the Steelers?
I mean, with that scenario set there, and like I said, that tie, I feel like that tie is going to play a huge role down the stretch. I think there's some better teams in the AFC North that should deserve a playoff berth more than the Steelers. Teams that I think could have, I feel like if the Steelers get in, I don't know how far they go, even if they win a playoff game at all. I like some other AFC North teams a little bit better than the Steelers in a playoff game.
Yeah, Cam?
Yeah, I think it's. I agree with Ethan there. Also, I feel like I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and that is a realistic scenario to actually happen in Week 17 and 18. Mostly because, especially with the Falcons, their run game, Cordell Patterson, wherever he's playing on the field, I don't think the Bills can stop him. So it is more realistic that could actually happen to the Steelers. But as you said, I think there's more talented teams than the Steelers that could do better in the playoffs. But I wouldn't be surprised if their playoff odds jump tremendously with potential Buffalo Bills losses.
Yeah, so now we're going to move to the Indianapolis Colts, who have the best odds presently to make it to the playoffs, currently sitting at 56%, could move all the way up to 60% if the Houston Texans, lowly Houston Texans, beat the Los Angeles Chargers. They are 0-3. The Houston Texans are 0-3 against the Chargers at NRG/Reliant Stadium. The Texans have only won 2 games this year. Do you think the Chargers could be one of them and significantly help the Colts' playoff odds?
The Chargers played well last week against a Bengals team that is one of the weirdest teams I've ever seen. They play good one week, then they don't show up the next, whether it's at home or on the road. I really like the Colts, but the Texans, I don't see them getting it done with Tyrod Taylor possibly not playing and Davis Mills. I don't think he can do it. Texans are lacking talent on both sides of the ball. It would be pretty shocking if the Texans were able to stun the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah, I think you drilled it. It's Texans got to beat the Chargers. That probably won't happen. And quickly, I mean, with the Colts, I also think that if they didn't, think it's obvious if they didn't have such a poor start to the season, I think we'd see their playoff odds, or not just playoff, but more Super Bowl odds, a lot higher just because of Jonathan Taylor's presence through weeks 3 until mostly now.
Yeah, I think the Colts have a decent shot of making it to the playoffs. I don't necessarily think that this Houston-Los Angeles game is going to be the difference maker to the Texans making, or to the Colts making the playoffs. I do think that they can make it in. I just don't think that this is going to be the way in which they do it. Like, you know, we're going to go back to the Buffalo Bills. A Carolina Panthers road victory over the Buffalo Bills in Week 15 could be a gift for the reeling Las Vegas Raiders. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. The Bills and the Panthers haven't played since 2017, which ended with a 9-3 Panthers victory. The Raiders would see a slight uptick in their playoff odds, moving from 13% to 15% if the Panthers win. Do you think the Panthers, first of all, do you think the Panthers can beat the Bills? Second of all, do you think that this is, long-term actually going to help the Raiders?
Well, yeah, I'll quickly answer that. No, there's no way the Panthers are beating the Bills just because Christian McCaffrey's out. And the Bills, other than that, I know they lost Tre'Davious White, but let's also not pretend like the Panthers passing game is a scary air raid. But also when it comes to the Raiders, I feel like this is the same scenario we always see because the Raiders, every season it feels like they're close, but they got to rely on other teams and not their own performance. But no, Panthers aren't winning. I'll put my mortgage on that one. That is a guaranteed win for the Bills.
I think the Panthers have a better chance than the Texans do against the Chargers.
I'll give them that.
I will say that if the Panthers play like they did a couple weeks ago in Miami, then I think there's no chance at all. And the Raiders, I feel like they do this every year. I've said this all year that they start out hot, then they get cold. Now, granted, they have had some incredibly bad things happen to them this season that no team's ever gone through. And if they somehow make the playoffs, it would be a miracle, needless to say. So I don't like the Raiders in the playoffs.
Yeah, losing 4 of their last 5 certainly going to hinder their odds. We're now going to move to the Cleveland Browns, a team that many thought had Super Bowl written all over them going into the season. They are going to have to hope that rookie Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-10 on the year, can beat the Colts in Week 18. That is going to be the biggest difference presently to their playoff odds, moving their playoff odds up to 26%, starting at 22% this week. Do you think this is a team we haven't really gotten into, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we're going to see as a lot? They're involved in a lot of these games. Do you think that they are a team that could help the Cleveland Browns?
Well, the Colts, if Week 18 and they are still on the bubble of the playoffs, they're not going to be taking the Jaguars lightly. So I feel like the Jaguars, if that happens, the Jaguars don't stand up much of a chance. Now, granted, they did play a close game with the Colts last year, Week 17. But unless some drastic things happen to the Colts, I don't see that happening. And the Browns, they've kind of messed some things up the past couple weeks for themselves, similar to the Raiders. So I still like this Browns team. They still have a lot of talent, but they gotta find who they are and get it back. And they gotta get Nick Chubb going again. He's, as Jonathan Taylor is to the Colts, Nick Chubb needs to be that to the Browns.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of flip the table there, or turn the table, as they all say. And I think that the Colts continue to run the way they have. Not in a Jonathan Taylor way, just as a regular winning team way, and just continue to run over teams. Again, I guess in a Jonathan Taylor way, because that's how he's been playing. And I think they have a spot, for the most part, locked up by Week 18 when they have to play the Jags. And if it comes to the place where they can't really change seeds and winning won't help them Week 18, Jonathan Taylor could be out for the game, just sitting, because they need him in the playoffs. That's the only way they do anything. And there's a realistic possibility, because I still think the Jags, they beat the Bills. That was a fluke. It's actually looking to not be a fluke game, actually. And I'm going to try to get ahead of myself and not continue on. But in the end, I think there is a possibility. It's a slim possibility, but I think there's a possibility that the Browns could get bailed out Week 18, because that's just the way the NFL has been working this season.
Absolutely. The Colts, the Jaguars' only win, I believe, from last season if the Jaguars beat them in Week 18, that could have major implications on the rest of the playoff field. Now we're going to go to my team, the Denver Broncos, who bumbled it on national television on Sunday night. Would have been leading the AFC West, instead tumbled down to last place in their division. So, they're going to need a lot of things to go right in order to make it into the postseason. They are going to have to rely on the New York Jets to increase their playoff odds from 22%, which it is currently up to 27%. 5% increase is the most change that you could see out of any one of the games that we're going to talk about. 3 teams have that. The Broncos are one of them. If the Jets can beat the Bills, that is going to be a huge help to the Denver Broncos. Everyone is going to be chasing the Buffalo Bills after losing to the New England Patriots. They become an easy pickoff team to sort of take their spot. Jets versus Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to also throw this out there. I think the Bills could also be fighting for their playoff lives come the Jets and Falcons games. I really do, and that's why it does. From last time we talked just a few minutes ago, I'm actually going to give the Bills a little more credit and say I think they have better chances against these teams, which in the end they should dominate these teams theoretically because of the roster they have, but I think they'll also be in a sense of urgency a little bit. And as you said about the Colts and Jags, and the Colts might be fighting for their playoff lives and really take it to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, I think the same thing could happen for the Bills.
The Broncos, they're a long shot. They need some more consistent quarterback play, and their defense is great. Running game is great. They got amazing passing weapons, tight end depth, receiver depth. It's all there. And last weekend, we kind of saw that the Broncos need a quarterback, kind of like that can take over a game. They don't have that, or at least just like play better than Teddy Bridgewater played last week, which it might be too little too late for the Broncos, but they definitely have the roster to turn it around. So hopefully they can. I don't know if they can get bailed out by the Jets or the Bills, but we'll have to see. They'll have to do some praying on that. But.
Yeah, they do play the Chiefs in Week 18. That could have implications on the AFC West crown, which could then give them an automatic spot in the playoffs, and then they wouldn't have to rely on other teams such as the New York Jets as much. So, but Ethan, let's go to you. The Miami Dolphins, currently the 13th team in the playoff on the AFC. The fire is slowly dying in Miami, but there is still hope. They've won 5 in a row. Their playoff odds currently are at 5%. They could increase up to 7%. They, like the Cleveland Browns, are going to be writing a very insistent letter to Trevor Lawrence, trying to will him and the Jaguars over the Indianapolis Colts. Do you think that this is going to be the way the Miami Dolphins make it in, or do you think there's another way, or do you think that they're out?
Well, here's the thing with the Dolphins. So we're on a bye this week. We got the Jets at home. I like us a lot in that game. Get us to 7-7. Then we take on the New Orleans Saints. They've been banged up this year. Very inconsistent team. Depends on what Saints team shows up. I like the Dolphins in that game. Play the Titans. Titans without Derrick Henry. It's going to be in cold Tennessee, January 2nd. I still like the Dolphins in that one too. It's going to come down to Week 18 in Miami. Dolphins Patriots Week 1 rematch. Dolphins won by 1 point, and that if we could win that game, no question. But we got a long way to go. We've had a long season. I still like our chances, though. I mean, it's a long shot, but there's a chance. We don't have the easiest schedule to end the year either, but I still like our shot. If we can get some help from other teams, that'd be great too. Help us go a long way. A loss, I think it's going to hurt us too bad in any of those 4 games.
Man, you're so optimistic. I think it's the same way as I just explained with the Broncos, how I think if you're this far down at the bottom of the division, it's difficult to even want to write those letters to Trevor Lawrence or whoever it may be. But keeping optimistic, I really like it.
The Dolphins play optimistic. The whole season's been like that, so let's keep it rolling.
Ethan Cole has set up a situation here on MUTV in which the Dolphins win 9 games in a row to make their way back into the playoffs, beating the Patriots, the Titans, and the Saints in the process. We'll see if that works out. But for now, we're going to head to the NFC. 4 teams, Eagles, Vikings, Panthers, and Saints, are all hoping that Matt Ryan can be the man in the red suit, beat the San Francisco 49ers in Levi Stadium next week. All 4 of these teams, this is the biggest game remaining on the NFL slate for the remainder of the season. The Philadelphia Eagles are in that 8th spot. They are the next team in. Their playoff chances could move from 31% all the way up to 36% with an Atlanta win. They have 4 games left. All of them are divisional games. They play Washington twice, and then at home against Dallas and New York. They are 2 games out of the division lead, half game back of the wild card. Do you think that they are a team that could make it in? Do you think that they're going to stumble somewhere along the way and then will ultimately fall short?
This is the Eagles team, right?
Yeah.
This is an interesting team. They started the season not running the ball.
They still don't run the ball.
Actually,
really,
they've figured out the past couple weeks that running the ball was their key to success. And the games that they've ran the ball well, they've played well. That game against the Giants, I don't know what happened there. Jalen Hurts was playing hurt. They probably should have just not played him because he had a very rough game. I think he threw 3 picks. So I don't like the Eagles in this situation. They have just too much against them. And the NFC, it's there's so many teams that they're probably going to just mess each other up. These division rivals, those games will be close. But I don't like the Eagles at all in the playoffs.
I'm going to be a little I'm not an Eagles fan. I have no affiliation with them, but I'm going to root for him a little. I'm going to be a little optimistic just because I do believe Jason Kelce is on his way back, who is one of, if not the number 1 center in the league. And just, I don't know how to put it into terms where I don't have to explain it too much, but run the ball. I mean, there's nothing. I'm trying to think of some statistic that I can use, but they just don't run the football with Miles Sanders, and I don't know why, because he's seen success. Everyone says they see success when they run the football. And Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, but he's still kind of young, and he makes, whether it be bad reads or whatnot, I think he's a little inconsistent. It could be because he's playing hurt sometimes, maybe. But I think if the Eagles get healthy, they could shock some people if they can actually run their team the correct way on the football field, which right now they're not, but they got to pick that up.
Yeah, so now we are going to move north. The Minnesota Vikings, they are sitting a game behind the Eagles. They gave the Detroit Lions an early holiday gift there with a loss in Detroit that severely dampened their ability, is going to hinder their ability to make it into the playoffs. They are playing the Steelers tonight. They are 4 games back in their division. They are 2 games back, I believe, of the third wild card spot. They have 2 matchups against Chicago, a critical game at Lambeau against Green Bay, and then another game against the Rams over their last 5 weeks. If the Falcons beat the 49ers, their odds would also increase by 5%, going from 28% up to 33%. Do you think the Vikings are a playoff team?
They need to get healthy first. They have a lot of people banged up. Dalvin Cook has been banged up. He might actually play tonight against the Steelers. Don't know. I can't remember if Danielle Hunter's gone for the year, but he's a big bull. They need him back. And they just have to play more consistent. Obviously losing to the Lions, but their schedule, they got a couple tough games in there, but if they can find a way to do it, that Lions game, if they make the playoffs, that Lions game kind of means nothing. So I think there's still hope in Minnesota for sure.
Yes, there's hope. Getting healthy is key, though. I think Dalvin Cook is playing. I know our good friend here, David Campbell, does not agree with that decision, but I think it is the decision you have to make if you really want to win this game. I like the Vikings if they can get healthy, obviously, and Kirk Cousins. And he's probably going to let everyone down again, but there's a chance he doesn't. There's a small chance he doesn't, so we'll see.
Yeah, so a close game that did go the Vikings' way was an early season matchup against the Carolina Panthers, the 3rd team in the NFC that we're going to take a look at here. Despite starting hot, they are going to need a holiday miracle to reach the postseason. They are currently tied by record with the Vikings, but with that tiebreaker, they're 1 seed below them. Four divisional games over the next 3 weeks. That probably won't be enough to close a 4-game deficit against Tampa Bay, but an Atlanta win versus the Niners could increase Carolina's chances from 5% up 2% to 7%. Are the Panthers going to make it back to the postseason?
No way. If they do, that's an easy win for whatever team they're playing. Chris McCaffrey, they shut him down for the year. If Cam Newton plays like he did in Miami the other week, they have no chance. I don't think P.J. Walker's the answer. He's a good QB. He's okay. I don't think he's the answer. Their defense has started well. It's played rough the last couple weeks. This team's just a question mark. But I don't see Carolina getting in.
No, I agree. Cam Newton, if we see the Superman Cam we saw in his first week back, then maybe that was just, I think that might have just been an adrenaline boost. And I know the Buccaneers, I think, have to lose a little bit. And I think the Bills could help out the Panthers' chances. But then the Bills have to play the Panthers, and I don't think the Panthers win that. Then you get Christian McCaffrey out.
They played the Jets and the Texans in that 3-game stretch.
I guess that's what happened. They actually play competitive teams after that. But now if we have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, then we could be talking differently. But they don't, and therefore, as you said, if they do make it, they're getting knocked out first round.
So another NFC South team, the fourth one on our list, it is going to be the New Orleans Saints. They have a 21% chance to make the playoffs. They could see this grow to 24% with an Atlanta win over San Francisco after Jameis Winston went down at home against Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston went down against Tampa Bay. They have lost 5 in a row. Are they dropping out of contention? Do you think that there's any way that the combination of Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian could get them back in?
No, their defense has played well against teams like the Bucs, but I do not like this team. Kamara's been banged up. I know he's coming back this week. Don't know how he'll play, but I don't like this team. They also play the Dolphins Monday night, December 27th.
That's
so
a tough game, man.
I feel like if they lose that, that'll end their season. So could be playing with some urgency down the stretch. But I don't know if this team has. Also, Michael Thomas not being there, they don't really have number one receiver that Marquez Callaway, but I don't like the Saints' chances.
No, I agree. I didn't like the Saints' chances going into the season. I like Jameis Winston as a quarterback going in. Now he's dancing on crutches in the locker room, and he and then you just say, can they rely on Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill? No, they can't rely on them. There's just no shot. Taysom Hill's not Taysom Hill lost the job to Jameis Winston, and Trevor Siemian, I think he's a good quarterback. Obviously, he's been playing well, but just the roster, I think it's as simple as not a good enough roster. And then, as you said, Alvin Kamara's been banged up, and you don't really want a banged up running back. Obviously, that's not ideal. So, no.
So the 11th team, the 5th team in the NFC that is also competing for a playoff spot is the Atlanta Falcons. They, based off of the New York Times simulator, no game until the rest of the season can increase their chances. They currently sits at 6%, can't get higher than 7%. So you didn't include them here. There's no game that will help them substantially. Do you think the Falcons can sneak their way in, or do you think they're going to settle for a playoff miss again?
Well, they play in the NFC South with the Panthers and the Bucs, and so they're going to knock each other out, and I don't think the Falcons. They did beat the Dolphins earlier in the year, but I think they're better than the teams like the Panthers.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably better than the Saints. But if they cannot raise their odds from any other teams, I don't like their chances.
No, I agree. Cordell Patterson has been a nice surprise. Other than that, though, you lose Ridley. Matt Ryan has every year he seems to be his stats they're good on just a non-playoff team for the past few years, and I don't know how much longer he'll be there. Next few years we could see a replacement, but I don't see it happening. It's flat out unrealistic to think that way, and especially when you lose your number one wide receiver, it's just Cordell Patterson won't help enough because that's not the only way you can win. And as Ethan said, you're going to have teams that will just cancel each other out, and they're not going to get any help, obviously, and there's just no shot, I don't think.
So some teams ending on the nice list, some on the naughty list. We will see how that all shakes out over the last few weeks of the NFL season. I'm Jeffrey Dean, and this has been the Dean State of Depot. We'll see you next time.